Tonight we have Kim and Michael, Dalla Costa and Kim Roberts. These are father-in-laws, and unfortunately they were connected by a lovely couple, but now they're also connected by tragedy. And good evening, gentlemen. Thanks for coming on.
You're welcome.
Who'd like to start? How about you, Michael?
Michael can go first.
So, while I'm waiting on the two gentlemen to come back in, I don't actually want to make light of it, even though I was just basically talking to both of them when that happened. Now, what happens is, let's see. Hi, Michael. Can you hear me now?
I can hear you now, yeah.
Fantastic. Okay, well, we'll start with you. So, tell us, it's up to you how much you want to go into it, but it was your son, and you're married to Crystal, which was Kim's daughter, correct?
That's right. All right, well, so what happened was when this coronavirus stuff happened, I did my own research, like a lot of people did, into it and what have you, and I didn't like what I saw, especially when a new vaccine normally takes about 7 to 10 years to get on the market, and here they are producing a vaccine within months. So I got a bit suspicious, did my own research, and I said no to it. My son and his wife, Crystal, did the same thing. They looked into it. They didn't want to get the vaccine either. They were both in the police force. Both of them combined had 25 years service.
This in Queensland?
In Queensland, yes. In Queensland. Yeah. Both of them, no, sorry, New South Wales, sorry.
New South Wales. Yeah.
Yeah, and they had, as I said, 25 years combined service. They refused to get the jab. They had to use, to survive, they had to use all their sick pay, holidays, long service, everything, which pulled them through for maybe 6 months or so. But then they obviously were given the sack. They couldn't go back to work. They were terminated. This obviously put a lot of stress on them both. They've got 2 young children, 3 and 5, paying off a mortgage like everyone else. But they stuck to their beliefs. They didn't want to do it for the sake of, like everyone was saying, we had to do it because keep our job. It was either one or the other, so they stuck to their beliefs. They lost their jobs. They got the sack. Because of, how can I put it? My son took his own life. Now, there are other mitigating circumstances as well, but I suppose one of the main ones was the fact that they lost their job, mortgage, 2 kids, trying to survive in that sort of atmosphere. As I said, there are other circumstances as well in that, but it all added up to them that they just couldn't take it any longer. And in August of last year, that's when he took his own life, leaving behind a wife and 2 children.
How have you been coping with that?
Sorry?
How have you been coping with that?
Very hard, actually. It's hit me, obviously, losing a child. It's hit me very, very hard. I have my moments that there's not a day go by, obviously, that I don't think of him.
Can you hear me?
Yes, so, yeah, I've taken it very, very, very hard. And
naturally you've taken it hard.
And even up till now, as I said, I have my moments where I just think about him and all the things that has happened. And yeah, obviously I have my moments. I cry. I think of the 2 boys being brought up by a single mother without a father. Things like that that cross my mind. And yeah, I just can't believe it at times what has actually happened. Not only that in that situation, Michael, but also, you know, with the whole pandemic crap that's all come out now, where you know, the so-called conspiracy theorists are now being proven correct. So much information is now coming out about the vaccines and the damage they're doing and things like that. But what annoys me is mainstream media isn't picking up on any of it. People are still unaware of what's going on out there. You know, they're still getting the jab. I've got a friend of mine who he's had the 4th booster. He's contracted COVID about 3-4 days ago, and he is sick as can be. This is the worst he's felt after the 4th jab. Can I tell you the story about my neighbour across the road, Michael?
Sure can.
Well, my neighbour across the road, he passed away about 6 weeks ago. He's 46 years of age, pretty fit guy. He'd had 2 shots, and 2 weeks or so prior to his death, he had his 3rd one. He woke up one morning. He wasn't feeling very well. He felt tired. So he didn't go to work. All he did was he wanted just to sit down in his recliner and just rest. His partner went to work, told the kids who were teenagers to look after him, just to keep an eye on him, which they did. They went in every hour or so, checked on him, he was okay, and then they went in the last time and he wasn't breathing. They called the paramedics. Paramedics come out. And the first question they asked his partner when she come home was, has he been vaccinated? Has he had the booster? And how long ago did he have the booster? And that was the first question that they asked. And then they started treating him, and he passed away. And they just put it down to a heart failure, heart attack. And that was it. So, you know, it's happening. It's happening all the time, as we all know. But what I'm afraid of the most is the fact that people are oblivious to what's going on.
Well, it's becoming the norm now.
It is. It's becoming the norm.
It's like, oh, well, yeah, this died, yeah. Well, you know, it's. I'm watching Kim having a few issues. As soon as I can see that he's cement, I'll let him back in. But how are you still married? How's your partner coping?
No, I'm divorced. I'm divorced. Single at the moment. So yeah. Look, she coped very bad. She couldn't cope. She was pretty bad when it happened at the time.
Natural, man.
Yes, and like she's vaxxed. Her partner now is vaxxed as well, and she was sort of asking the same questions. You know, like, why didn't you get vaxxed? Well, he explained to her that he didn't believe in it. He didn't want it. Didn't believe in what was going on. And as I said before, he stuck to his beliefs, and I admire him for that, and his wife as well. You know, so like you say, it's becoming the norm now. And I have a lot of friends who I send information to. I talk to them and things like that, but they just don't. They just don't comprehend it. And this crap about what is it, sudden death, adult syndrome, or whatever it is.
SADS. Yeah,
well, how on earth could you put 2 and 2 together, people? You know, like now they've come up with SADS, and we'll ask the question, why? Why is all this happening? And I think that the longer this goes on, without anything concrete being done in bringing it to people out there, the more that goes on without any action being taken, people are going to forget.
Yeah,
they're going to forget, unfortunately. Like
they're going to forget on purpose because they want to move on. I'm just going to bring Kim in now. Hey, Kim,
yeah.
all set? Can you hear us, Kim? All I can say, Kim, is log out again and log back in and see if you can fix it, because it was working before. It was working before. So if you can hear us, log out and make sure you say yes to everything to log in. Use your audio and stuff like that. So log out and I'll keep talking to Michael until you get back. Okay, I'll see you again. There's I was touring a suicide prevention play that we wrote before this happened, and it was something unspoken of in then. Australians didn't like talking about it then. You go to country towns, and the country towns would have numerous suicides, and they just be silent. No one ever talked about it. Now, ever since this is beginning, I've heard people saying the suicide rate is, but we don't hear what the suicide rate is. We don't know. We're just guessing. But I know it's had mitigating circumstances, but there's two things that seem to come. One, you're a police officer, I think, like a police officer, a fireman, an AMBO, and lots of other jobs. There's something to your identity as a man. Do you know what I mean? It's a status. I don't mean that in a bad way. That's what it is. I'm a police officer, which used to be something to be. You know what I mean? And then, and I'm not saying it isn't now. You know what I mean? There's a lot of great officers out there. So sorry for saying it that way, but to sort of go from there and then be discarded out of your force, because I've been interviewing quite a few that are coming up vaccine injured. They don't want to take the rest, or they've just had to leave. And there's a period of just being lost. What do I do? Because that's what I wanted to be. It's who I was. You know what I mean? It's been a real difficult journey for those people who've lost their dreams, wherever they were, and have to sort of reinvent themselves. You know what I mean? And then
absolutely,
if you're losing everything on top of that, you've got mortgage stress and this stress and being outcast by society. I feel it for you.
Look, my son and his wife were part of a group of police officers who were trying to take legal action against the force and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
And they really stuck together. But all of them, no jobs. Maybe some had wives or spouses that were working, but they still had mortgages. They still had kids to bring up and what have you. And what really hit home as a collective group was that they all donated to help Crystal out, donated money. And it wasn't just a couple of $100. It was quite a few $1,000s. And I thought to myself, here's this group struggling themselves, and they're still willing to help someone like Crystal and the boys, because they stuck up. They're a group. They stuck up for their rights. They stuck to what they believed in, and that really hit home to me as well about this group and how dedicated they are to each other, trying to help each other, trying to how can I put it? Just trying to settle things, like in South Australia, they've taken back all the police officers.
Yes,
unvaccinated.
Yeah.
I mean, what's the difference there between here or anywhere else? What are the government sticking to their guns as a matter of principle, or what? It's not a matter of principle anymore. It's a matter of lives.
That's correct. We got called yesterday from a very distressed mother whose 19-year-old is in hospital. He needs a kidney transplant. He's unvaccinated. And he's told that he can't get on the list unless he agrees to 5. So he's got to have 3 now before he gets on the list. Then once he gets on the list, he's got to have the other 2. And so it's comply or die. He's got no choice. And it's like an inversion to our morality going on. You know, 10 years ago, if a 19-year-old needed a kidney, there was a kidney, no question. Just give him the kidney. It wouldn't even come up. We'd be all cheering the fact that we could do that. Now it's like, no, jump through these hoops and we'll consider it.
It's ludicrous. It's criminal to do that. And what if he does get the 3 jabs? What is that going to do? Nothing. It's not going to prevent him from getting it. It's not going to prevent him from spreading it. What's the point? This is why I asked a lot of people. I mean, look, when it first got diagnosed and what have you, there was a lot of fear mongering with all the premiers going on every day. We've had this many cases, this many deaths and things like that. It was just scaring the crap out of people. And that's why they were told, go and get it, because why? Well, first of all, it'll protect you. You won't be able to pass it on, and that's it. But now it's been proven you can't. It won't stop you from passing it on. It won't stop you from getting it. So what's the point of saying to this poor person, you need 3 before we'll consider it? Where's the logic there? This is what I can't understand, Michael. Where's the logic there with the medical staff at that hospital or what have you saying this to that person? Why? This is what I can't understand. Is everyone just blatantly stupid? What? I don't know. I got no idea why that would happen.
Can you hear me now? Hello?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Yep, I'm just seeing.
Okay, yeah, I just logged back in again. So.
Got sound. Welcome, Kim. We've just heard from Michael about the loss of your son-in-law, and how's Crystal doing?
I think she's coping, but
she's coping. Like I spoke to, she has a day. She's got 2 small boys. They are a handful, and she's trying the best she can with them. But she has a day. She tells me, where it just gets a bit too much.
She wouldn't be human.
She shouldn't have been ever put in this position. Like, if they didn't sack them from their jobs, this road... I still got a lot of emotions, what's going on, but the road might have been different if they didn't lose their jobs.
It would have been complete. It would have been completely.
Yep.
See, my son, Michael, he got a job. He got another job, but it was working in the mines, driving a dump truck to the mines. And he told me he hated doing that, but he had to do it.
Yep.
To survive. But he hated doing it. He loved being a police officer. That was his passion.
Yep.
Now, driving this dump truck back and forth, picking up the coal, dumping it. That wasn't what he wanted. He had to do that to survive. He didn't like doing that. But, there's a lot of people out there who probably don't like their jobs either, but they have to do it. And this is something that he didn't want to do. He didn't like it, but he had to do it. As I said, his passion was being a police officer. And that's what he wanted to do. And he couldn't do it because of some stupid mandate that was put out. Sorry, dude.
I'm really sorry, Michael. I really am. You see, it's one of those unfortunate things where people stay silent because they don't know what to say. They really don't know what to say. I'm not looking at the comments, but I'm guessing the comments are the same. And Australia's always had quite a high suicide rate, and we don't even know what it is now. And the the premiers who used to get up every morning and they'd be telling us all the people we'd lost to COVID, do not get on the screen now every morning and tell us how many people we've lost, because the death rate is 18% higher. It's just silence.
That's right. Exactly.
It's just silence. And it's not just the people we've lost, but those people we've lost have families and friends and work colleagues, all who are affected by this immediate loss, and it's just all happening in silence, Yeah. Anyway, Kim, back to you, Kim. There's how are you coping with it, mate? How you getting through it? Can you hear me, Kim? Can you hear me, Kim? Can't hear me? Might be the Michael show, I think. Can't hear me, Kim? And he's actually saying he had so much to say. And just before you came on, he was talking thing. Can you hear me, Kim? Okay, going to do it one more time. Try your best. One more time. Ouch, we actually did a test with him and it was all working well, so who the hell knows what's going on now. There's, do you have any other children?
I've got a daughter, and this is the irony about it. I suppose that I tried to talk to her and her husband about getting vaccinated and things like that. However, she went along with the narrative, and her and her husband both have been vaccinated. They're up to about I think they're both on their fourth jab at the moment. And like I said to her, look, just investigate it yourself, both of you, before you jump into it. But they were both, as we said before, Michael, caught up in the narrative of what the government was saying and mainstream media and things like that. And the mainstream media can be a very, very strong influence on the way people think. And there's a lot of fear-mongering that was going on.
Why didn't the fear work with you, Michael?
Sorry?
Why hasn't the fear worked with you? I mean, it was aimed particularly, the older you got, the fear was really driven home.
Oh,
so why didn't it work with you?
Look, I'm, I don't know if you know the personality colours. I'm a green. In other words, I'm an analytical person.
Mm-hmm.
So as I said before, Michael, I did my due diligence into it. I did some research into it, even though it was early days and there wasn't that much around at the time as there is now. But I just didn't want to take something that, as I said before, normally a vaccine will take 7 to 10 years to come on the market. It's got to be tested, this and that, and this one come in within a matter of months or something. I said, how can that be? And I also, just digressing a bit, like the flu vaccine, we get various different variants of the flu, and all of a sudden, a new flu vaccine comes out 2 months after. But how can they produce a flu vaccine or flu shot so quickly? What do they change? How do they know what to change? I've never had a flu shot in my life.
Oh, really?
No, never had a flu shot in my life.
You're still alive.
Mate, only the good die young, Michael. I'll be around for 100 years. I've never had a flu shot. Never.
Wow.
Don't believe in it.
And was your son? Can I just ask before with this? I don't mean to upset you, but what I knew when I was dealing with, because I had my friend who committed suicide. We wrote the play, and then after I wrote the play, we were putting it on so many times. I dealt a lot with it. And one thing that can happen is reality is that you die twice. You die through suicide, and then you die a second time because no one ever brings you up or talks about you. You're just remembered as the person that took their own life. Can I ask, what was he like? And what was his name first? And what was he like?
His name was Aaron. He was a great
Aaron.
guy. Lived for his kids. Loved. We used to go fishing together. He bought himself a boat. We used to go fishing, take the kids out. As he was growing up. Sorry?
You two were close?
Very. Very close. I mean, he built a new home where he's living now. And I don't know, a lot of kids these days are not, I don't mean to cause any disrespect here, but a lot of children, a lot of kids these days don't know how to do the basic things like around the home, changing a bloody tap washer or anything like that. Like, kids don't know how to do things. They don't know how to work on their cars. They don't know anything these days. And I prided myself in teaching Aaron as much as I could teach him about being a handyman, to do things for himself, to think of problems and find a solution to the problem, how to go around it, things like that. And he was great. Towards the end of, he was doing things that he didn't need me to do. He built a retaining wall virtually by himself. He did a lot. He began to do a lot of things by himself because I taught him. We were very, very close. He did a lot of things together when he was growing up. Taught him how to fish, spearfish. He was a great athlete, champion athlete, things like that. We're both very proud of him by what he achieved. So to lose a son like that, I mean, look, everyone, he's lost a sibling. It's very hard to comprehend, I was very proud of him and what he was achieving and things like that. And, he'd ring me up and say, I got a problem with this. I said, right, okay, what's the best way out? What can you do about it? And I said, go away and think about it. Because to every problem, there's two solutions to every problem. I said, just think about it. And he'd ring me up and say, right, how about this way of doing it? I said, that's it. That's how you fix it. You think about it. And he was becoming that way. He was great.
So what do you think went wrong this time? He just couldn't see his way through this time, you think?
No, I just couldn't see. As I said, there were a couple of other mitigating circumstances. His children were very, how can I put, not wild or anything like that. They were just kids, they were just children. Maybe a bit hyper or anything like that. They were hard to, not control, but to, what's the word I'm looking for? To, I suppose, control at times, But people are saying, there may be ADD, ADHD. No, they're not. They're just bloody normal kids, bloody playing, just being kids, like, that's it. These days.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yes, I worked with a man who'd been an undertaker, and this was pre-COVID, and he'd quit being an undertaker because he got sick of going to these new suburbs with all the McMansions and picking up fathers who'd taken their own lives. And no one ever talked about it, but he just couldn't handle it anymore. And there's a thing called that I learned in it. And look, if you're feeling, I don't know if Lifeline still works, I don't know, but I would suggest you don't. What can happen is in people's lives is called situational distress, where just periodically everything becomes so heavy and pressured, you just can't see any way out of it.
And that's what he did.
Yeah. And so it's, they say mental illness, but often it's not mental illness. Often it's just too much coming on and too much pressure. We put people through so much pressure this time, and but there is generally a dawn. That's one of the beauties of the planet. No matter how big awful things are, the sun always rises. You know, eventually one day without you being there, it rises. And it's hard. I think it must be. And I'm only going from this. It's like when my friend took his life. You look for reasons, but it's we can't really blame anyone else. It's just this tragedy, and they talk about prevention, but the only real prevention to suicide is just don't do it.
Don't do it. Yeah.
Find a way to hold on. Just find a way to just dig your heels in and hold on, and just yeah.
The day before, it was a Saturday. He rang me up, and I don't know. I just sort of sensed something. He just rang me up and said, "I said, what are you doing?" He said, "Oh, I was going to," because he loved to play soccer. We both did, and he said, "I can't play because Crystal, because his wife was trying to get a second job, and she got a second job just for a couple of hours every so often. So she had to work on this Saturday unexpectedly, so he had to look after the boys." So I said, "Look, tell you what, I'll come up. Tell me where the game is on. I'll come up. I'll look after the boys. You go and play your game." So I did that. Went up there. He played his game. I looked after the boys. The boys run around the soccer field, this and that. And then we went home. The boys wanted a fire pit, so he lit up the fire pit and things like that. That's the type of guy. The boys wanted something to do. He'd do it for them, And I don't know, about 6, 7 o'clock at night, I said, "Look, do you want me to stay?" And he said, No, everything's fine." So I took it at that and I went home. 2 o'clock the next day, on a Sunday afternoon, I get a phone call that this has happened. And I think is what you just said, Michael. It's a culmination of a lot of things all at once. Like if it was just sort of one thing at a time that hit you, you'd probably be able to handle it. But on this occasion, it's like you said, Michael, everything culminated and came into his mind at the same time. And he just thought, well, I can't cope anymore with this, with that, with whatever. Because he was coping, I'm sure, previous to that, because everything was only, one thing at a time. But all of a sudden, just on the Sunday, it just hit him. And he just walked out of the house, got his car keys, and left. He left his phone, left his wallet. And until this day, I don't know how, I've got an idea of how it happened, but I don't want to know.
Don't blame him.
I don't want to know how it happened, what he did, what have you. I've got an idea, but I still have the thought of him lying in the state, in the morgue, whatever you want to call it, touching him. How cold he felt. I just hugged him and kissed him. And I just said, why? And even on the dad's funeral, seeing him just lie there, not being able to see his boys grow up, play sports with them, take them fishing, just everything that I did with Aaron, he could have done with his son. And now I'm trying to fulfill that role for him and doing things like that with them, because I don't want them to miss out on what Aaron enjoyed in life. I'm sorry. But that's the biggest thing in my life, man. Just to live for those boys, live for my other grandkids, live for my grandchildren. Do as much as I can for them. Spend as much time as I can with them. yeah, to, as I said, Margaret, just do the things that I did with him, just to enjoy life, just a little thing. The smile on Aaron's face when we used to go out fishing and he'd catch a fish and hold it up and say, where's yours, Dad? Lagging behind, you know? And all this sort of thing. Just the fun that we had. Goading each other. Things like that. And when I got seasick, he wouldn't take me in. He'd say, suffer, Dad. We're out here for the long haul, you know. So just things like that. It brings back a lot of memories. A lot of memories. Anyway. Yeah. Oh, far out. Oh, dear.
So,
That's okay. You know, it was the boys' birthday party a couple of months ago. And I was with the eldest, Kobe. He was 5. And I started crying. And he asked, why are you crying? No, why are you crying? And I said, I miss your dad. And he said, I miss him a lot too. And he started to cry. And we were both crying. And I'm thinking, far out. Why this? I mean, I've never, you hear about people dying. You hear about people committing suicide. And now, it hit homes more now when something like this has happened to you than before. You know, like the helicopter crash up in Queensland where those people have died. And I think to myself, geez, why? How are their family going to feel? And the woman, because I live in Glenmore Park here in New Zealand, and one of the people who passed away was a woman from my suburb. And I'm thinking I could have seen her at the shopping centre, or I could have ran into her anywhere in the car park, things like that. And you think, wow, it just hits home more now when something like this happens. I think about things, and I feel the pain that people go through, families that go through who lose a loved one, like a father or a son or what have you. You know, and people say, I know I can imagine how you feel. No one can imagine how I feel, how anyone feels losing a loved one, Michael. No one. No one can feel that pain, that sorrow that goes through you. No one can. No one.
The trouble with suicide is, with other forms of death, is there's no chance to say goodbye.
There's no
chance.
No.
And then there's this question that you're never going to answer. She says you're never going to answer. And it's just, you have to find a way to forgive him. It's the only way. It's just forgive him. You weren't there. You weren't in his head. You weren't in his heart. Yeah, I'm not saying you haven't, man. But
no, I mean, I don't know. Yeah. I just think that the things that were going through his mind at the time that drove him to do that, you know, I just think, wow, it must have been pretty bad. Because I've lost two other friends through suicide. And I think to myself, what drives you to do it, to leave family behind and things like that? I think it must have been horrendous what was going through his mind to do something like that. But look, I'll tell you something else. I've since that's happened, I've contemplated it, I'll admit. But I say to myself, well, if I do something like that, I'm not going to see the grandkids grow up. How can I do that to my grandkids, to my daughter? How can I do that to my daughter? Put her through that. How can I put the grandkids through that? No, like I just not like talk myself out of it. Like it's not worth it, Michael. It's not worth it.
It's not worth it.
No, forget about those stupid bloody thoughts. Forget about it. And I do. I just like no, rack off type of thing, and that's it. I'm 70 years of age. I think to myself, how am I going to be when I'm 70, 75, 80 with my kids? I mean, the oldest will be 15, the youngest will be 13. And I think I want to be around for them, to see them grow up, to be there for them. I probably won't be around when they turn 21, although I may be, but, but I think about those things as well. How are they going to be when they get older? Think about their dad and things like that. And you're right, I mean, you mentioned suicide. I read somewhere on a news article, something like that on Facebook about suicide. Whether it's true or not, I don't know. However, they were saying that, 7 to 8 males commit suicide every week.
Every day.
Every day or every week, something like that. Now,
every day.
Where is that mentioned? Why isn't that mentioned? Why isn't that something done more on mental health issues and things like that?
It's not even just all mental health, to be honest. It's just,
no, it's not mental health.
A lot of it is, like we said, situational distress, loss of identity, there's all various reasons.
I recall, Michael, years ago when the droughts were hitting Australia, and the number of farmers that were committing suicide because they just couldn't go on. Remember those? I don't know whether you remember that or not.
Yeah, I do.
Every day there was stories on the news where a farmer had committed suicide.
Yeah.
Because of it. And where's, I don't know. I don't know what can be done, Michael.
I think a woman just said here, she lost someone in the comments, and she's saying it's just a matter of one step before the other. Just keep going. Like you said, you got to do it for your grandsons. I don't know your son, but from what you've said about him, I think maybe in a moment of complete and utter despair and loss, he made a mistake. And sadly, one of the ironies that never gets spoken about is women attempt it far more than men, far more. But men succeed because they're better at, they just do it. So they try less, but they succeed more. And it's just unfortunate. I think it's an unfortunate mistake. Somewhere, wherever he is, he'll be regretting it too. I reckon he'd do anything to get back, but that's not how it works. I'm hoping by you sharing your story that others out there might be contemplating can see it's not worth it. The pain you leave behind. A lot of people think they're going to cure people's problems. They're not curing people's problems. You're just leaving back unfixable wounds. They're never going to repair.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know what else to say. I mean, just as you say, take one day, one step at a time, one day at a time. Life goes on. But I'll never forget
that's
him.
where you have to teach
no one will forget him.
Sorry,
Sorry.
That's where you have to teach the boys.
Yes.
You and Kim. You know, the father sounds like a great guy. I have no doubt he loved them, but he made a mistake, and some mistakes you can't walk away from. And
No.
and no matter what's happening, you got to keep going. You got to do
Yeah.
it. I mean, I've contemplated it in the past, but if I'd done it, I wouldn't have my beautiful kids. I wouldn't. Lots of things I wouldn't have experienced. I would have missed out on. And there were times where you can't see anything good in the future, and I was wrong. I was wrong. There's lots of good things in the future. That's why the dawn is so important. You know, every day is a day. You don't know. And yeah, I admire your courage for speaking out.
That's okay. That's all right.
You know?
I mean, we just got to take the message out there to people as to what this bullshit
You go to
COVID
any support
crap and everything
groups?
else is doing.
You going
to
to any
people.
support groups or sharing your story? You going to any groups for help? I know there's some out there.
There are a lot out there, but no, I don't. I'm not. The reason being is I'm a person that keeps things to himself and deals with things in my way, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
I know a friend of mine, lovely lady, she lost a son about a month before Aaron passed on. And she is, I mean, I'm coping well now, but she's just not. And she's with support groups and it's helping her, which she's mentioned to me. But I don't know, I'm just a different type of person. I'll do things with my own way, in my own way. Even if I have to just lock myself out in my bedroom for a day or two and just come out of it after that. That's all. I just do things differently. Unfortunately, I suppose, in some ways. Yeah.
Are you spiritual at all, religious?
I am religious. I am religious in a way. I'm Roman Catholic. I do pray. But I must admit...
You're a lapsed Catholic?
Sorry?
You lapsed? Are you lapsed? You sort of with the church and you walked away?
Didn't sort of walk away. I still believe in God in whatever form. When I say believe in God, I tell you what, when Aaron passed, it really tested my belief.
Mm.
Because, Aaron, why? When there's, other people out there, and you think, why? Don't want to be disrespectful to other people out there, but, like, why? He's a family man. Okay, he had problems, things like that. But why take him? Why take him? And I question that. I question myself. I question my beliefs now. I do. I question my beliefs.
It's funny, I've really thought about freedom a lot now these last few years since everything we're going through, and I do think that there is a God. I really do think that there is a God, but I don't think he's in full control over what we do. Otherwise, we're like slaves to fate or destiny to him. Do you know what I mean? We don't have any free will. I think if he's given us free will, then when we're down here, we make the choices. At some point, we might be judged on the choices we make or get there. But I actually feel that the two gifts that he gave us is free will, if we have the courage to use it, and each other. Each other. It's going to be maybe in a sense of humor. Bloody that helps. But these are the things that he gave us to get through. I just don't believe everything is pre-written and controlled. Otherwise, there's no freedom. And to me, we have this craving for freedom. And so with freedom comes responsibility. And unfortunately, some people make unfortunate choices to relieve pain. Like I said, I've contemplated, so I can understand reaching a point where you could consider doing it. But I truly believe, I truly, utterly, deeply believe that he would sincerely regret it. It's just unfortunate that it's too late. But I really do. My play, I had the play in my head for a long time, but I hadn't written it. You know, I was just like, no, it's going to be too hard to sell. But when my friend killed himself, I wrote it in 8 hours. I was really angry, and I was really upset. And that was a friend, my son. Anyway, and what it is, it's a waiting room in a sub-layer of heaven. And there's 4 people there who've attempted suicide and failed, and they're stuck in this room. They're strangers. So they emotionally don't owe anything to each other. And for some reason, they've got to wait to be registered, to be sent back to their life, but they're not being sent back. And because they've got nothing to do in this room but each other, eventually they start talking and they start figuring out, and then one of them figures out, hey, we don't have to sort each other out our own problems. We've got to fix each other's problems. You know what Vish was saying, that if there is a God, he's given us each other, like the kindness of strangers, to fix. And so they start on this journey in this crazy room, to try and figure out, and by all talking, just coming together, like we're doing tonight, they all come back from the edge. They just relieve, they don't fix the problems completely, but they relieve the pain enough to come back from the edge and find the courage to go on. I won't go more about the play, but it's called Maroon. But we had the army was turning it to their bases because they believed it worked with men, because there's a lot of humour and there's a lot of humans. And it's going everywhere. It's been in England. But the government was going, you can't talk about it. You can't. I'm older than you. I grew up in an era of silence. I talked about anything, especially suicide, and it wasn't working. Silence wasn't fixing anything. It was just hiding people. And so even though it's really, really, really painful, I believe we must talk about it in order to try allow people to see you can't do this. You can't do this. You've got an obligation to those you love to stick it out. You know, it's the same because it's anyway. I don't know. I said it, but and there's a frustration too, which I think why people probably don't talk to you about it, because they can't fix it. You know, if you have a problem like, oh, my plumbing's wrong, I go, oh, look, I know what to do. Or your washing machine's broken. Have you tried doing this? But in this situation, it's just like, you can't do anything. But I'm not sure we're helping you tonight. I mean, I hope we are. There's a lot of people here in the things here. There's a lot of people here who are really reaching out to you. And they're thanking you for sharing it. So, yeah.
No, it's fine. I'm glad I could share it with people. Makes me feel a lot better. I haven't had a good cry for a while. So it's always good to let your emotions come out. Anyway. No, I appreciate your time.
What did you used to do? What did you do before you retired?
I worked for various companies up until I was about 22, 25, 22, 23, something like that. And then I just went to various businesses, engineering, cleaning, things like that. So after about the age of 25, I was always self-employed. Until I retired. So that's it. That's my life, Michael, at the moment. Yeah. Anyway, I appreciate your time.
I wish you the best. I really do. And I think I'm glad his kids have someone, you know. I think it'd be a lot tougher than not. So good luck. God bless, man.
Thank you. And thanks for your time. Thanks everybody for your encouragement. I appreciate it very, very much. I really do.
I'm just sorry that Kim couldn't get on, but I think it's probably best that he didn't. I think it's probably best you had a good chat for yourself. I'll get to Kim on some other time, even though he must be going through this.
Yep.
Take care, Michael.
All right. Thank you, guys. Thanks for your comments. Appreciate your support. Bye-bye. Bye.
See you. Here's the number for Lifeline if you are feeling that way. I believe they're overworked at the moment, so I would recommend reaching out to anyone. I would also recommend just holding on.